Why U.S. Air Force combat pilots are mass leaving for civilian jobs. The online newspaper Alaska Public reported that the skies over Alaska are unprotected, as there are almost no pilots left in the U.S. Air Force squadrons that cover this region. However, Zachariah Hughes, the author of the publication, admitted that the entire American Army is experiencing a personnel famine. It's just that here, in the north of the United States, the deficit is exacerbated to the limit. On assignment from the editorial office, Zachariah Hughes tried to understand the problem of the pilot shortage. She visited the 90th Fighter Squadron at Elmendorf-Richardson Air Force Base in Anchorage, located in the southern part of Alaska. Mainly, pilots who are soon to retire serve out their terms there. If nothing changes, then in 5 to 10 years there will be absolutely no one left here. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Skolicki, squadron commander, boasted that he flies the F-22 Raptor to intercept Russian long-range bombers approaching the United States. At the same time, he complained that this is too complex and dangerous work that does not correspond to his salary. In civilian jobs, people with much less qualifications earn many times more and retire 2 years earlier. So it's not surprising that Alaska has begun a flight crew crisis. In fact, the U.S. Department of Defense does not hide acute personnel problems. On the one hand, the 2018 National Defense Authorization Act allows the Pentagon to increase the Army by 8,500 servicemen to a total number of 1,026,500 people. On the other hand, generals do not know where to get so many people to trust them with sophisticated weapons and high-tech equipment. Top military personnel officers, including Navy's Robert Burke, Air Force Deputy Chief of Staff Gene Grosso, and Marine Corps Lieutenant General Michael Rocco, at their joint press conference on April 13, 2018, said that their main efforts are focused on improving personal sustainability of soldiers and officers. It turns out that many of them tend to commit suicide, sexually assault colleagues, and abuse their families. This means that the U.S. Armed Forces need not only new soldiers and sailors. Apparently, the Americans also want to update their personnel in order to replace numerous psychopaths with pronounced post-traumatic stress disorders. In particular, Robert Burke proposes new monetary and non-monetary incentives to stimulate the recruitment of low-skilled women. They say it's hard for them to find work in civilian life, and on the ships there are things that do not require much intelligence. From now on, according to him, the U.S. Navy will focus on this segment of the population. Comments from sailors, of course, were very caustic. There's already a madhouse of maniacs on our destroyer. Even tough guys here are afraid for their honor, and old admirals are sending girls on top of that. It's like putting an antelope in a cage with hungry tigers and then blaming the predators for bad behavior. Nevertheless, the admirals do not think so. America really believes that women are capable of solving the Navy's personnel shortage problem by imposing more discipline. However, when it comes to modern combat aircraft, there is general skepticism here. In this matter, girls who did not go to college due to poverty will definitely not help. The Air Force has a multi-billion-dollar problem with one of its most expensive assets, pilots, notes Gene Grosso, and these personnel problems are likely to only get worse in the coming years. In total, according to the Pentagon, at the end of fiscal year 2016, the U.S. Air Force had 1,211 fighter pilots, 27% less than budgeted positions. Since then, the situation has become even more alarming. There is a shortage of personnel in all units, including bomber squadrons and cargo aircraft fleets. 2 years ago, the total pilot deficit was 1,555 jobs, which is about a third of the personnel. The Air Force Deputy Chief of Staff Grosso refused to clarify what it is today. Meanwhile, the cost of training one F-22 pilot is estimated at $11 million. Moreover, it's not even about the money, although the USAF Command needs to find $12 billion to close the growing personnel deficit. Technological superiority has the other side of the coin. Pilot John Woodward believes that the USAF Command deliberately does not notice the problem of the extreme complexity of controlling new fighters. To become a pilot of the F-22 and F-35, you have to be a real genius, says Woodward. This is no longer about learning a profession, he believes, it's about finding talents. Young people who would like to see themselves as cool guys at the controls of fifth-generation aircraft are discouraged by exhausting training and no less exhausting theoretical studies. They begin to realize the risk of their profession quite quickly. It is no coincidence that the escape of pilots is increasing after each new catastrophe of American fighters and bombers. Complex military equipment fails everywhere under high loads, including in America. Thus, at the beginning of April 2018, just in 1 week, the U.S. Air Force suffered 4 tragic incidents in a row. 2 planes and 1 helicopter crashed, AV-8B Harrier II attack aircraft, F-16 fighter and CH-53 heavy transport helicopter. Another CH-53 made a hard landing. 5 people were killed, including a pilot from the Thunderbirds Demonstration Elite Squadron. On forums, they write that squadron commanders use all kinds of tricks to reduce the number of accidents. David Gould, who flew the C-130 transporter but moved to United Airlines Civil Company, recalls that 80% of the time American pilots, at least where he served, did stupid paperwork or waited for spare parts. Now David Gould earns twice as much. His family does not have to wait for months for his return from various combat missions. He claims that many of his fellow servicemen have gone into civilian jobs that are literally sucking out personnel from the air forces of many countries, including the United States. In this regard, Airbus CEO Fabrice Bregier provided interesting information, stating that the global air transportation market will very soon need 200,000 pilots, while only 65,000 will be trained worldwide in the next 20 years. According to his information, the number of civil pilots is growing by 10% annually, mainly due to the escape from the armed forces. Of course, it is good for the whole world that the U.S. Air Force actually has at least 30% less combat readiness. Nevertheless, the American experience deserves close attention. First, in our country, it is already necessary today to significantly expand the training of civil and military pilots, given that a significant part of them will be sucked in by the Asian and European markets. And secondly, in pursuit of high technology, one should not cross the line beyond which only a handful of talented pilots can operate the aircraft.